This is Sportish.
Do it better.
This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish.
This is Sportish. It's the show ostensibly about sports that we started during a global sports shutdown. Mike Wallace is our producer. My name is Geoff Brault, and I'm joined by Dr. Keith Strudler, the director of the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University. Really big program. College basketball is theoretically less than 1 month away, but COVID-19, possibly some NCAA violations, may prevent some or all teams from playing. Once again, it's happened. Football pundit got uppity about what Cam Newton wears to games. We're going to get into that. And stay tuned. Later in this program, we're going to give you our top 4 potato preparations. It's one of the most important topics we've ever debated, and it's worth staying tuned for. I know Keith and I, we've talked about the fact that we're going to debate our top 4 preparations of potatoes. We have no idea what the other ones are going to pick.
No, I have no idea, and I didn't know. I thought this was an off the top thing, so that was a tease. I didn't know we're making people stay up till nearly 1 a.m. Eastern time to get this. But I think you're right. It is worth it. It's worth a payoff. It. I have at least one now. I have at least one sleeper choice in there, and I will tell you, I am going to give you my honorable mention because I think it warrants being heard on national television. So I feel very comfortable in my choices. And by the way, this is like college football right now. There is a dominant number one. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I completely agree. In fact, dare I say the top 3 I feel very confident about. I do think there's some wiggle room in the 4th. And I sympathize with your plight trying to decide between a 4 and a 5. There is a very, pardon the pun, a very squishy middle. And you can really fill it with a number of different options. So absolutely stay tuned to that. However, first, Keith, you're the parent now of 1 man and 1 boy, as Sloan was bar mitzvahed last week. I know you're going to tell us about how the Zoom bar mitzvah went, but I do want you to think this is Halloween week, right? Yeah. And Halloween, like so many other things, because of COVID-19 in many parts of the world, is being canceled. Yeah. I wonder, how are you as a parent of 2 boys, 13, I believe 10?
13 and 10, correct.
So, I mean, that's like prime trick-or-treating age. That's your Halloween sweet spot as a boy. How are you handling Halloween amidst the pandemic?
It's very challenging. And I would now like my household to be referred to, since one has just been bar mitzvahed and I have a younger one, still a child, as boys to men. but it's very challenging because you're right in some regards. Look, Halloween, it starts young. Obviously, you know, first grade, second grade, you're out there. The difference is when you're out with your younger kids, you have full authority and jurisdiction over what happens, including in many cases the costume. So you really get to run the show. The problem is once you get up into the 8th grade, the 13-year-olds, they want a little bit of, they've tasted some freedom, right? Uh-huh. So they don't need hand-holding as they go around our small town, basically terrorizing street after street in pursuit of some sweet candy. I am very torn on this because I'll be quite honest. I think first of all, I don't like Halloween as much as I used to because I find it annoying now. Because now I got these kids rolling up around the neighborhood looking like they're up to no good, including my own kids. I do feel like it's an easy time for kids to get in trouble. So I'm not a huge fan of it. What I'd like to do is say, you're not going anywhere. You're locked in the house now. But unfortunately, I mean, Sloan is a man. So what I think I'm going to do, by the way, this time means nothing to them. They do this thing around here called ghosting. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it in the sense of someone who you're trying to date doesn't text you back.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm talking here. The big thing they do, is they go out, they get little bags of candy, and they run up to people's houses, leave the candy at their door, like in the weeks leading up to Halloween, ring the doorbell and run off. So you open the door and there's candy.
That is my ideal day. I get free candy and no social interaction.
And so when they were like, hey, like this was like last year, our first year, and someone was like, hey, my friends, they all want to go ghosting. And I was like, that does not sound, no, you're not going. And I was like, what is it? They're like, well, we just drive up to people's houses and we do something really nice to them and we don't even take credit for it. I was like, excuse me?
So that's outrageous. Next, you're going to tell me they're leaving candy at like the houses of families that are going through a tragic medical condition, or like you're going to. There's got to be something here, right?
I mean, it does seem almost unreal, like too good to be true. So yes, in our town, we kids just drive around doing nice things for other people. So there's been a lot of ghosting. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to allow them to go out in a small group with masks. Mm-hmm. That's my theory. They've shut down the really crowded street here. They're not going to do the normal, like, everyone goes to this once. And by the way, if you live on that street, you are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Sure. It's unfair. Sure. So we're not going to do that. I think I will, you can't win. If you lock them in the house, they're going to take it out on you. Right. Yeah. And I do feel like if you get them in a small group, 5-6 kids, they wear their masks. Right. I mean, I think that's fine. I think that's fair, but I got to be honest. I don't understand why Halloween is not mandatory this year. I think we need to be expanding Halloween because this is our one shot in America to get everybody wearing masks. Now, look, you have to pick your costume judiciously. Sure. You're not going to be able to go as a baseball player, but you're going to be able to go as a cowboy, a bank robber, a surgeon, right? That should be a very popular costume this year. There are so many costumes that incorporate the face covering. There's really no reason that Halloween can't be the first day of the end of the virus. This could be what gets us into compliance. And so I think all these people have it wrong. If you're shutting down Halloween, you're missing a golden opportunity to get people into masks. Let's actually bring these numbers down. And let's get some candy while we're doing it. Does my spandex Spider-Man suit count as a mask? Because it covers, or do I have to have the Spider-Man suit and then a mask on top of the Spider? Because where am I on that? I do think you should go as pandemic Spider-Man. I feel like whatever you go as, how like girls, they have that phase where they just go as like sexy blank. I feel like this year it should just be pandemic blank. So whatever you're going as that, but in a pandemic. Huh. I might do that. I mean, so I think we're going to do it, and again, we had a bar mitzvah. So I feel like I need a little, the Torah has now left the house and you're surprised at how expensive the Torah is, aren't you? Very surprised. I thought a Torah was like a a Bible where just everybody has one on the shelf. If you're a Christian. Apparently that's not the case. Apparently Torah costs more than a luxury car. Yeah, you should be able to drive a Torah. The Torah, it has to be a kosher Torah and it's handwritten. And if you've looked inside a Torah, which I'm guessing you haven't, it takes a significant amount of effort. And so, give me an example of a Torah that is not kosher. Well, I think some guy, they just print it up in a Chinese factory. And then they just ship it out. You got to have your guy, probably in Muncie or wherever he is. And it's on some kind of some real thick kind of paper. For all I know, it's like some animal hide, but it's a real thick thing that this thing in the paper. It's like a real parchment, right? I mean, it doesn't tear apart because it's a big scroll and it just holds together. And so it's a big thing. It's a big thing. But you got through it. You got through the bar mitzvah. Yeah. Everything went according to colors. Flying colors. All right, well, in fact, I'm starting to wonder why all bar mitzvahs aren't Zoom bar mitzvahs because we saved a lot. I'll tell you what, we saved a lot of money on a party. You know what's a lot cheaper than a party at the Hilton? A Zoom room party. Lot cheaper, and as we discussed, still a decent number of checks rolling in. So for all the fears that this might really kind of cut him off on the knees, it's worked out okay. By the way, one thing I will also say, good mitzvah project he did. So you do a mitzvah project with your bar mitzvah. Okay, I'll take your word for it. So we collected sporting equipment for an organization called Leveling the Playing Field.
Cool.
They repurpose sporting equipment and give it to kids who in need, obviously, based out of Baltimore and DC. So if you're watching and you got one of two things, you got, decent condition, doesn't have to be new sporting equipment, look up Leveling the Playing Field, great organization, or send them a check. They totally, it's a great org. We talked to them. So that's one of the, this whole thing, they try to get them to do some good around the world. So we did that. So that was fun too.
That's awesome. That's tremendous. All right. So you got through the bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
The question now is, will we get to a college basketball season? We're inside a month. It's no secret that this is our favorite season, the one that we're most anticipating. It was the end of last college basketball season where this all began. And now we're wondering if we're going to be able to start another one. I don't know. So less than a week after practice officially opens, a number of teams have already shut down because of positive tests. And then just a few days ago, ESPN and Disney announced that all of these multi-team events that were going to be held inside the wide world of sports where the NBA did their bubble, off. They're not going to have them anymore. That imperils non-conference play across the nation. In fact, there's a lot of leading voices in college basketball that now say, I don't think we can get non-conference games done. Let's just play a conference-only schedule and figure it out from there. That'll make an awfully tougher task to fill an NCAA tournament bracket, to do top 25 rankings. It'd be very, very tough to crown a fair national champion without some non-conference games on the resume. Now, that said, if conference only is all we got, sign me up for conference only. But we are not off to an encouraging start as we get inside of 1 month until tip.
No, and things always, it's like fighting Mike Tyson. It's always, you got a lot of plans, so you get punched in the face. And I think a lot of these college basketball teams are getting punched in the face right now. As perilous a position this has put all Division I college basketball programs, the mid-majors must be struggling mightily. They obviously don't have the same kind of resources for to make sure you have the protocols in place. They don't get as much reward on the other side. So if you're Kentucky basketball, UNC basketball, well, you're getting some decent TV money. You get alumni donations that help kind of keep this going. If you're a small basketball program, right? If you're a rider, so where's the payoff, right? So you're spending a lot of money, and mid-majors, you might as well just consider every mid-major conference a one-bid conference, because unless St. Mary's gets out and plays USC, they're not going to be able to prove a resume. So it is going to be very challenging for a lot of these schools. And I mean, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do if you have a couple of positive tests on your team? You're out for 2 weeks. That's like half your season now.
Yeah. Well, and it might not even be two. I mean, it might be one positive test that puts the entire team into quarantine. That's a big reason why these multi-team events got canceled, is because they couldn't figure out what would happen if someone tested positive while they were down there in Florida. It could ruin the entire schedule. Now you just got 16 teams staying in a hotel and nobody's playing any games. So, I mean, I think for every reason you just illuminated, this feels the way 1 month out from football season feels like. It feels like when the rubber's about to hit the road, a lot of people do the calculus and the numbers don't add up. And it scarily feels like we could be getting toward a situation where the only people that are playing are, the SEC and the Pac-12 and the big guys, just like in college football, because everybody else, like you said, what's in it for Ryder? Especially if no one's able to play non-league games. And if you cannot build a resume to get into NCAA, or the NCAA uses this as cover to say, hey, the tournament this year, it's going to be 16 teams.
32, 16, yeah.
That basically gives cover to everyone else in the mid-major world to say, well, if there's nothing to play for, then we're not going to take the risk. So very, very nervy time. And it's a tough thing to even talk about here. We do our show on Monday nights. You don't see it until Wednesday at midnight. Some even call that Thursday. And so much can happen just between now and then. So, losing these MTEs in Orlando, which is a place that's proven they can safely hold sporting events. I don't know how that bodes for, say, the MTEs that are happening in like Asheville or South Dakota. I think those got to be considered in some trouble.
Yeah, especially technically, I guess they will deem them essential employees, kind of like the Big Ten has been doing. But what if you're coming from, if you're playing in New York and you're coming from, say, Wisconsin? Technically, you're supposed to be sitting for, a long period of time before you do anything. It doesn't seem logistically like this is going to happen. What I'm guessing is going to happen is the same thing that happened in football. And the other thing about this, you can't have a lot of the smaller conferences in football are still, I believe, proposing to play football in the spring. And so your 1AA schools can get away with it because they weren't part of, the Power Five, the championship and all that kind of the big bowl games, right? So they can say, you know what, our football is going to be in the spring. Basketball cannot divide. They're not going to have a national champion and a mid-major national champion, right? Mm-hmm. This is it. Unless like the NIT decides to play their tournament in like August, like there's really no pathway forward for basketball right now. They are either going to start playing, let's say January 1st, or they're not going to play at all. And the ripple effects of this are catastrophic for college sports. If you think the football season is challenging and the numbers are going to be really difficult, and this is potentially the beginning of the end of Division I athletics if they don't play a college basketball season, at least as we know it, right? There could be a dividing line after this. So, boy, I don't know. It is going to be really difficult. I can't see how they don't play. I really, in my head, and I mean, and this is the damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't see how they don't play, knowing what's at stake. And athletic directors, I know a lot of athletic directors. I don't know how they are going to pull the plug on this. Like, this is like a euthanasia moment for them. I don't know. I don't know at what point someone's going to be like, all right, season's over. Like, I think they're going to be like, I can't do it. You're going to have to do it for me. You're going to have to pull the plug.
But it will be in a way. It'll be the college presidents that do it, and there'll be some leagues. We're talking, of course, about the Ivies, that if they decide to cancel, they'll give cover to the others to do it, and then it snowballs from. It's the same thing everybody said about football. It's the same arguments in reverse. The positives as to why the season might be able to happen is most colleges are sending their students home for Thanksgiving and not bringing them back until probably late January or February, which creates a de facto bubble on campus. Now, the issue is college basketball players still got to go to the grocery store. They still live in a world, and that's a world in which virus cases are spiking here in America. So I don't know how much of a de facto bubble means anything. I feel like you need an actual bubble, and you can't really do that with amateur athletes because they're not getting paid and they don't really have the agency to. So it's just it's such a sad, difficult thing to contemplate that I actually found myself somewhat happy this week when I read a story about the NCAA leveling 9 violations against Arizona basketball. So I'm like, finally a normal story. Let's talk about malfeasance among coaches in college basketball.
I don't think coronavirus should be any excuse for them not cheating. I don't see it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There have still been jobs and cars and payments promised to these young men, and whether they play or not, they are due.
Absolutely, Louisville should still be considering bringing prostitutes into their dorms. There is no reason. There are masks for that. There are protocols. I mean,
the Arizona. I do not understand how this Arizona case is still going on. Right, this all stems back to that HBO documentary with Christian Dawkins. About these high-level coaches are caught on tape in this FBI wire fraud RICO case, like a mafia case, conspiring to pay money to these amateur athletes. Arizona had an assistant coach, Book Richardson, who went to jail for saying that he paid Book Richardson. Went to prison, is now out of prison and coaching an AAU team in New York, and this case is still somehow winding its way through the NCAA Justice League. 9 violations, 5 level 1, our favorite violations all over this. And that is, of course, the lack of institutional control, the lack of head coach control, best violations ever. And yet Sean Miller is still employed. Will Wade at LSU is still employed. Like, all of these guys, Rick Pitino still employed at a different institution.
Yeah.
Nobody.
How are you going to feel as a MAC guy if you don't have the distinct pleasure of experiencing a Rick Pitino game live and in person? Because that was something that was bound to happen this year. That was on your schedule. You were going to see that.
Not great. And I still might be able to find a way, but certainly one of the things we were looking forward to that won't be happening. But this is just like, how do these guys still have jobs?
Wow.
One of two things needs to happen. You either got to change the model, right? Or just cut the veneer of righteousness. Like, I don't care which one. Either just pay the players or stop acting like what they're doing is so nefarious. Just pick one and let's go with that. because what we're doing makes no sense. Like the idea that Sean Miller didn't know is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because Book Richardson office was 15 feet away. I don't know the layout down in Arizona, but I bet it was 15 feet away where his office was. Like they have meetings every single day. Like he knew, of course he knew.
It does seem quite likely that he had a sense of some of the situations that are going. And also, whenever money changes hands in an athletic department, I mean, the coach, he knows when money changes hands. That's the one thing that they are keenly aware of.
I forgot to mention, he's on tape. He's on tape.
Let's be clear. I think one thing we've learned from this presidency, but I mean, is it being caught on tape?
Doesn't matter.
Does not matter.
It's the best and most frustrating defense in the world, right? It's the I say something. I go, Keith, your background is blue. And then you go, remember when you said that my background was blue? Look at it. It's clearly white. And then I go, oh, I never said that. And then you show me the tape and I go, I was kidding.
Yeah. So I'm gonna propose right now, by the way. So since I know people who watch the show like to hear about our process, we do, generally speaking, if I can get home in time, we do, generally speaking, do this show on Monday nights. Now, next Monday night, we are going to be on the cusp.
I was thinking about this too.
Here's what I'm thinking. So here's what I think we're going to do for the viewers. Just so I think, and this is a Mike Wallace question, because he's going to have to get off his lazy rear and do a little work for once in his life. Here's what I think we're going to do. I think we go early when we get like a 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, and we get some hot reaction to this. And Mike just has to process. Mike has one job, and that's to take a video and run it through a processor. I mean, we use the term
very loosely. So loosely.
He's a producer like I'm a race car driver because I commute home from work. So,
it's probably the most correct analogy you've ever made on this show.
So he's going to have to get it. I think, because we're going to need some of our hot takes. We can't, because first of all,
I know
who knows what's going to happen Tuesday night.
I know. So I'm fine with your idea as long as we make 6 a.m., 9 a.m. Because I don't think we need to be punished. However, I thought what could be fun is we still do our show Monday night, but we do the first half of the show as if Trump won. We do the second half of the show as if Biden won. And then we see like how close we got to what actually happened.
Or we could do this. God, that was a crazy night. I can't believe that. And we leave the word blank and we dub it in. Trump won the election.
We just say like the old Simpsons gag where we just say, boy, I can't believe that Pennsylvania was the tipping point state. But either way, we do have to think about what we're going to do next week. So folks should stay tuned for that, just as you should keep tuned into this episode, because we're going to talk about, if you're just joining us, our top 4 means of potato preparation a little bit later. So really keep it locked.
Don't walk away now. I know your eyes. Right. I know you're fading out there. It's time to wake up. Grab another cup of coffee, a Pepsi, because this is going to be worth listening to. I know there's lots of clickbait online where you could watch the exact same thing at your leisure, but you're going to want to hear this. I've spent at least an hour and a half at work looking at this. So, and I have one that I think you don't see coming.
Maybe. I don't know. I have one I think you don't see coming. Before we get to that, though, I do want to get your thoughts on something that's come up before, and that is someone in the media, in this case, former NFL quarterback Jeff Garcia, ripping Cam Newton for how he dresses. So Cam Newton did not play well last week, right? He got benched. He was abjectly bad at his job. And there are a lot of great takes about why Cam Newton had a tough day. The take that you, in my opinion, can't have, or is lazy to have, or whatever, is they were ripping him for playing poorly and also dressing well. Cam Newton is a dapper gent, right? He doesn't just walk into games wearing like a regular conservative suit. He doesn't put on like a t-shirt and sweatpants. Like
he wears a hat every now and then, right?
He had a hat on. He had a great, he had a bright red vest. He had a nice sort of fall colored jacket, some cream colored pants. Like he looked objectively good in my opinion. And Jeff Garcia gets on there and he's all like, I don't understand how you can be dressed like this after you just played awful. I'm like, these two things have so little to do with each other that it's almost stopped like being a tired take and moved into just me wondering if it's offensive in some way. Like if there's some sort of nefarious undertone to this, because this is the dumbest argument I think I've ever heard. That somehow his performance is at all impacted by what he chooses to wear.
I think Cam Newton has always been a target, and that goes back. So, and some have suggested that it has racial undertones. I think in some cases, though, Cam Newton's a flamboyant, sure, out there kind of guy who likes the spotlight. And with that, sometimes I think it's a weird take because I don't care what he wears. Look, you criticize guys. This stems from the idea that if he's dressing up, he's not really hurting. It's the same argument you have, which is, how dare this guy go out and eat at a restaurant after he lost a ball game,
God,
right?
I hate that.
I know you hate that
so
but
much.
It's the same argument, right? That how dare they, it's like if you have a mediocre day at work that you can't still come home and be nice to your kids, right?
I think it's a little different. And so the argument you're alluding to is there's that scene in the movie Fever Pitch where, Johnny Damon and Jason Varitek or whoever it was were out eating at the restaurant after the Red Sox lost a World Series game, and Jimmy Fallon's character's in the bar. And he's like, what? They're having a meal? And yeah, they do that sometimes. I think this is a little different because they're not questioning, they're questioning his focus, right? They're saying he's not working hard because he's putting all this effort into what he's going to wear and he's not studying the playbook. Like that's the implicit undertone there is, well, if you're picking at an outfit, you're not studying the cover too. And the argument that I hate almost as much as these people can't just live a life after the game is that they're such mental midgets that distraction it somehow ruins their ability to do their job. Like they can't both choose what to wear for the day and perform their job. Like one impacts the other. It's just such an awful, tired take.
I hear what you're saying. I don't find it nearly as offensive as you do because
I do.
I clearly. I
mean, I find what Bill Belichick wears more offensive than what Cam Newton wears. Like the ripped stained sweatshirt, and then he was like, "Well, look at this guy. He's working so hard. He doesn't even have time to find sleeves." Like that's also crap. Like that's also an awful argument.
I think if Cam Newton played a little better, none of this conversation would be
Of
happening.
Of course. But it shouldn't be had either way is my point.
It shouldn't be happening, but this is the life of an NFL quarterback. I mean, this is the life of an NFL quarterback.
But only because the media is not better. Only because they're just taking the lazy way out. Like that's the only reason that it's the life of the NFL. It doesn't have to be. Plenty of people have a bad day at work and walk to their car looking sharp.
Well, not as sharp as Cam Newton. Do you know a lot of people that look as sharp?
No, he's a very well-dressed young man. I respect, as the kids say, Keith, I respect the drip.
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. I don't know. All right, should we debate potatoes? Is it potato time?
We got a lot of time left. Do you think it's going to take that long? It might.
I mean, well, I got one more thing we could touch on.
No, let's save that. Let's save that to the end in case the potato doesn't take the entire time. Okay. I feel like, and I'm having a hard time right now because I'm on a split screen and I got new lights and let's really take you inside the fourth wall. I don't think my camera's straight and it's driving me crazy. So I'm not looking at myself. Do I look like I'm looking at the camera? I look fine. You're going to say I look fine.
Just like I told you the 15 minutes we spent before we hit record, you look fine. It looks like it always looks.
Well, you didn't say I look fine. You said it looks like it always looks, which could also mean it looks crappy.
It's been looking bad for the last 6 months. Sure, that's also a possibility. Is it tater time? Is it tater time on Sportish? Let's
do this. How are we going to do this? How are we going to run this through?
Here's the genesis of this, by the way. Here's how this came up. I was at dinner last week, and I was talking to a friend who had a debate with another group of friends about the top 4 ways to prepare potatoes. Okay. And they, I guess, knowing that I'm
apropos of nothing, just
apropos of nothing. Just like they just like, I want your take on this, and I'm like, well, I will give you my take on this, and I did. And there was one choice left off of 2 out of the 3 lists in the original debate that drove me mad. So mad
I think I know. I think I know what's about to happen here. I think because I think it might be off my list too. I think this is about to come.
No. Oh, if that does happen.
Well, how much do you put it this way? If that
happens, you will know what it's like to have been at the young girl's birthday party 2 tables away when she had to deal with a 17-minute rant from me about how everyone is awful and should never be allowed to speak again.
I'm going to tell you right now, and I know where, like when you order your princess cut prime rib, you probably like a little potato on the side. It's probably an important, like potatoes are very important to me as a vegetarian. I as well. Very important to me. We have potatoes in our house. I mean, we might as well be Irish. We have potatoes in our house all the time. All right. So potatoes are real important to me. I grill them out in our grill. I mean, I respect the potato. I like the potato. I'm not going to give you a sweet potato take because that's not a potato. I'm coming in with potatoes.
Right. And there's also preparation of potato. So anything that you say could also apply to a sweet potato. So I'm glad you're on.
I don't know. Potentially. All right. How are we going to do this?
So that's a good question. Do we want to go like 4-1? Like you give your 4, I give my 4, or do we want to just say our lists and then just yell about?
I think we should go. I think we should each go 4 and 4. We should go one by.
All right. Do you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off? So 4 is where I think there's a lot of wiggle room. I don't think there's not a lot of wrong answers at 4.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
The one that's not making the list, and it hurts me as a Jew, is the latke.
Oh, that's fine. That's the one you thought that I was going to freak out about?
No, I'm just saying for me.
That shouldn't be on the list.
No, it's pretty darn close. It's pretty. Have you seen why do you, that's disrespectful. What's wrong with the latke? It's a fried patty.
There's nothing wrong with the latke. There's nothing wrong with any preparation of potato, but it's not in the top 4.
Well, because you're from like rural Pennsylvania, to you a latke is probably something you get in the freezer aisle. Like a real homemade latke is delicious.
Again, there's no bad preparation of potato. There's no way you make a potato and somebody goes, "Well, this is horrific." It doesn't have. They're all good. We're ranking the top 4,
right.
And that's.
So you want me to give you my 4? Here's my 4.
Give me
number
4. 4. Kick it off with 4.
Au gratin.
That's exactly my 4. Exactly my 4.
It's delicious. It's delicious. It's cheese. You can do all different versions of it. It's always a welcome surprise. Is it a side? Is it a meal? It's both.
It's the most quality side that there is. And you see it so infrequently that it's always a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, exactly. It's the mac and cheese of potatoes.
Yeah,
it is delicious.
It may be the best vehicle for cheese and potato together. The scallop potato with the cheese. It's a great 4. It's a great 4.
It's a good 4.
We're off to a wonderful start here. A wonderful start. All right. So we agree on 4.
I think 3 is going to be a problem for you. I think you're going to have
it could be because I am very, very confident in what I think the top 3 should be. And so
all right, you go ahead. Here's your number 3.
From here on in, we're going to have some trouble.
What's your 3?
What's my 3? Hash brown.
Nope, not on my list.
Oh boy. Do you need me to defend hash brown, or are you now just upset that you didn't think to put hash brown on your list?
No. The greatness of the hash brown. In fact, I'll even say when I go to a diner and hash brown is an option, I often ask for something else. Can I get a substitute for that? I think a hash brown is a vastly overrated. Yeah, absolutely. No. It's like a must.
The hash brown is the backbone of your breakfast potato. First of all, McDonald's hash
I'll take a home fry. I'll take a home fry over that. I'll take a home fry. All good diners do
now we're just debating semantics because a home fry and a hash brown could be the same thing.
They're not.
This could be a regional dialect situation.
A home fry has chunks and it has vegetables sometimes. A home fry is it's got crunch on it.
Yes. Right. But look, hash brown. The McDonald's breakfast hash brown might be the best fast food item on the planet. It might be the best fast food item.
That's not true. That's not true. Any shake at any fast food restaurant is better than that hash brown.
Fast food item. A shake is not a fast food item. It's not indigenous to any of the major fast food chains.
Well, I'm gonna really make it. I'm gonna get you hot and bothered now. I think McDonald's apple pie is better than their hash brown.
That's one of the stupidest things that anyone has ever uttered in the history of mankind. Hash brown is the backbone of your breakfast potato. Waffle House hash browns? Hash browns have essentially made Waffle House, and it's got waffle in the name. But the hash brown is the star of the show. Also, hash brown spices up one of the best breakfast foods on the planet. You get a bacon, egg, and cheese, right? That quintessential Northeast breakfast. What takes it to the next level? Put a hash brown on that sucker. So hash brown's my 3. I'll defend it to the death. What's yours?
By the way, what I did not anticipate was we actually did not leave enough time for this. My number 3, and I think you're going to be really upset with this, is a baked potato.
Oh, no. A baked potato takes like an hour and 20 minutes to make. How much time do you have that you're baking a potato? It's the most inefficient form of potato preparation. Like, oh my God. Defend baked potato. You can't do it, but give it a try.
No, of course you can. First of all, the shell, if you bake it correctly, the skin makes an incredible edible shell. It is delicious. All right.
Well, you didn't say potato skins.
No, but it's part of it. It's got all the potato skin is part of it.
Oh no, you don't get a twofer. You don't get a twofer.
No, it's not a twofer, but I'm saying you're eating the skin. You always eat the skin on a baked potato. That's
I disagree. You hollow the shell. You do not eat the skin on baked potato.
You don't eat the skin
on like a purposely prepared potato skin, but I don't just pop a baked potato out of the tin foil and just bite into it like it's an apple.
You don't eat. What do you not eat the skin on an apple? The skin on the baked potato is the best part. So, but the baked potato, it's made. If you bake it correctly, the consistency is great, and you can put anything in it. You put your obviously your butter. You put those are like sour cream. Any kind of cheese. We put broccoli in it. We put you can put, for me, some bacon. I mean, you could put anything in it. You could put meats in it. You could put vegetables. You could put anything in it. It's like the sliced bread of a potato. It's fantastic. It's good for everything. So that's my number 3. I think America agrees. It is the ultimate side dish. But the ultimate side dish, but stands alone on its own regard. It's a meal in its own regard.
I concede to you the point that the baked potato is a great vehicle for other toppings, which to me just underscores the fact that it cannot be amongst the top 4 best potatoes. Because if the potato cannot stand alone, can it truly be great?
All right, I think we're ready for our number 2. I guess I'm up now on the number 2.
Sure, hit me with your number 2.
This is my dark horse favorite.
I honestly can't believe that it should be universal what the top 2 are, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be. And I should get my cardiologist on the phone.
My number 2.
Okay.
Gnocchi.
Oh, that is the silliest thing I've ever heard. I mean, that is barely a potato. And it also means that you are leaving out of your top 4.
I think gnocchi is one of my favorite. I mean, if I were, when you say if you're stuck on an island, you can only have one food, it might be gnocchi. Gnocchi.
Here's why gnocchi's not number 2. If you asked 100 people, what is gnocchi? Do you get 85% that say potato?
What do I, that's because they're stupid. Just because they don't know, what's in their
top
food?
4? Yes.
They don't know what's in their food. Why. They don't know what's in their food. That's their problem. They don't know they also don't know how the cow gets slaughtered. They probably couldn't point to where the T-bone steak is. That's not my issue.
The things that you're leaving off.
They don't know what a senator does. I can't be. How does a car work? How did that rocket ship get to the sky? Still a rocket ship. Still a rocket ship. Can you explain the combustion engine to me? By the way, not for nothing, I'm helping my Elliot build a rubber band powered car for a STEM project. Harder than you think. Kinetic energy does not work quite as well.
I think it'd be pretty difficult. That is not somewhere I would excel.
Right,
my number 2, go ahead and try to tear this down, is French fry.
No, I'm not gonna tear that down.
Yeah, So either French fries your number 1, or you've left it off your list.
But so my number 1 is the French fry, the greatest fry of all.
That's fine. I truly believe that French fry can be 1, can be 2.
Yeah, and because French fry, it can be everything. I've never.
Yep.
Let me put it this way, and I've said this many times. I've never had a bad French fry. Never had a bad French fry. The worst French fries are great French fries.
I completely agree. And I think you can make a great case to have French fry at number 1. I think you can have a great case to have French fry at number 2. You have left off to choose gnocchi. You have committed the cardinal sin that my friend Caitlin committed.
I know what's happening.
John committed. Shout out Caitlin and John, loyal listeners of the program. You have committed the same cardinal sin that they have committed.
I know what's about to happen, and it's an overrated food product that belongs relegated to the high school cafeterias.
It's not
soupy mess that it is. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Number one,
the powdered concoction that it has been
number
relegated
one
to
is now and forever the mashed potato. It is.
And by the way,
honestly,
what is the mashed potato
discussion? It's so far ahead of all the
other
potatoes.
What is the mashed potato other than the inside of a baked potato?
The mashed potato. Well, first of all the potatoes are exactly the same. The mashed potato is the foundation of the food world. It is the definition of comfort food. It exists in high-end dishes at Michelin-starred restaurants, all the way down to the aforementioned high school cafeteria, and in all settings, it's great.
No,
it's the ultimate requirement for one of the greatest bites in any meal. That is, of course, the combo bite, where you mix something else from your plate with the mashed potato.
First of all, I think let me be clear on this. The combo bite is a bastard of the culinary word. It should be no. Let me tell you what. Here's how I like to eat. I like to have my plate compartmentalized, and I like to finish all of one food product.
That's disgusting. That's the least surprising thing that I've ever heard coming from you, and I'm still disgusted. Like, of course you eat that way.
If I have a bread product, I'm going to decide which I'm going to divide and conquer first. If I want to go after a vegetable, I'll do that. All right. If I have some kind of protein, maybe a tofu, right? I'll eat that later. I'm not mixing up the palate. I'm not confusing myself the whole way through. I mean, the only time there is one place where that rule can be broken: Chinese food. If you have Chinese food, you can put multiple Chinese foods on your plate because it does create a real interesting kind of flavor profile. Everything else you must eat in some kind of circular kind of fashion.
No, you are depriving yourself of so much joy. It's not even funny. Yeah, mix your mashed potato with corn, a shepherd's pie. A shepherd's pie? You can't have that without a mashed potato. It's basically chili. Like the mashed potato checks every box that a potato should check. And the only person who's leaving it off their list are people that are trying to be purposely contrarian.
No, that's not true. I don't think they're good. I think 95% of the mashed potatoes you eat are awful. They're awful.
No, untrue. Oh my God, untrue. Untrue.
I'll tell you what. I am, of all the things we've talked about, that's the one thing I'm likely to not finish on my plate of all the things. And I'll tell you what.
Usually that's because mashed potatoes are so good, everybody over portions them. They're like, you know what? Slap some more potatoes on there. Who doesn't want more potatoes? I rarely take them. I'm going to tell you right now. I can name. You want to know? I'm going to go down a list of things I could put ahead of mashed potatoes. Because if you think, want my head to explode?
I'll tell you what. The tater tot. Definitely ahead.
Yeah, it's not ahead. I thought about the tater tot in the top 4. To me, the tater tot is too close to the French fry. So
they're really different. They're really different. You can make an argument that the French fry is different than the curly fry.
No, you can't. You can't. A curly fry is just a curled French fry, hence why it's called curly fry. All right, go ahead. Tell me other things you think are better than mashed potatoes that aren't.
German potato salad.
That's horrible take. German potato salad's not even your top 3 types of potato salad.
No, it's the only type of potato salad. If I want no potato salad,
German potato salad is terrible. It's just it's like a cold roasted potato.
It's a mustard base. It has to be mustard vinegar. You cannot have the creamy stuff. It has to be mustard based.
The creamy stuff is the best part. Your best potato salad is egg-based potato salad.
Well, no, I think mayonnaise should be banned. I think no one should be allowed to ever eat mayonnaise. I think mayonnaise is the work of the devil, literally the work of the devil.
You don't enjoy life enough to be allowed to rank something as great as potatoes. Like, I forgot that I was having this debate with someone who's only happy when they're unhappy. So of course you wouldn't rank the best potatoes at the top.
I'm trying to think of what other potatoes might go in. I mean, home fries for sure, but you seem to lump them in with home fries are a decent, legitimate potato. I'll tell you what, I will take, before I put mashed potatoes, I would take roasted potatoes.
No.
Unquestionably, roast potato is a good potato. That's a good potato, and
No,
always cheers up a plate. A roasted
No.
potato is a good potato.
No.
I would take grilled potatoes ahead of the mashed potato.
What is a grilled potato? You get
Cut them and you put them up in the pot. I grill them all the time. You quarter.
You're just making things up.
No.
A grilled potato?
You cut them up into wedges and you put them on your grill. You make them on your grill. You
They would fall through the slats.
No, first of all, you have two options there. You go perpendicular and you grill master it a little bit, because then you get your nice little lines, or you do what smart people do, which you get one of those little mats that still allows the lines to come to. One of the greatest inventions ever, so you don't dirty up your grill.
It's so, I mean, I
Thank you, America.
Honestly cannot believe that there are three people in my life.
I knew this was going to be
mashed potato in the top
I knew
four.
this was going to. I knew, because
I mean, I have to. Do you understand that I now have to reevaluate all of my relationships?
So maybe if you think everyone else is wrong, it's not everyone else.
I mean, look, when you point a finger, you got 3-point right back at you. And so believe me, I will, after this show, I will look inward and I will see what is it about me that has allowed me to make such poor choices of associates. Because how mashed potato, like it shouldn't even be a top four. It should be a 2 through 4 after mashed potato. That's how strongly I believe that the mashed potato is the best potato.
And that's stupid, because the French fry is the king of all potatoes.
Look,
I've said this.
I agree. The French fry could be 1 and mashed potato could be 2. It is like a 1 and 1A type situation. But listen, I tell you what, get your wisdom teeth out or get your jaw wired shut, and then tell me what potato you're going for.
I'll tell you what potato, a milkshake. And by the way, that's what I'm going to have at that point.
That's a mashed potato. A potato milkshake is a mashed potato.
Gnocchi is not only is it the best potato. I'm gonna rock your world on this one. It's also the best pasta. It is the best. It's literally the best of two categories. And I'll tell you what might be the best food product in the world is gnocchi with a blue cheese sauce with walnuts. That might be the world's best food product.
You just underscored why it's definitely not the best potato, because a gnocchi doesn't stand on its own. Nobody makes little nuggets and just eats them. It's always got some sort of sauce in it or something else mixed in. That's why it can't be number one. Obviously, it can't stand on its own merits. But it's
well, the mashed potato doesn't work really well until you add the butter and the cream and all that. But
that's all part of the preparation of the mashed potato.
I'm just telling you, you can mash the potato and eat it. It tastes like baby food.
But the mashed potato stands on its own without adding bacon and sour cream to it. That's the point. Like when it's served, it's just one.
I don't think it does.
The fact that there's ingredients as you prepare.
So we literally are running out of time because this took 20 minutes.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like it wasn't quite long enough. So your top 4 potatoes recap for me.
I went with the au gratin, baked, your gnocchi, and of course fried.
Okay, I went with au gratin, hash browns, French fry, mashed potato. At Sportish Pod on Twitter. Give us your top 4, and maybe we'll spend 20 more minutes talking about it next week, because that's all the time we got in this episode. See you guys.
Thanks for listening to Sportish. See you next time.